Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Today I want to talk about the survival games that are still going to be coming out on console. You know guys, I cover every survival game going. When they're coming to PC, I'll give you the heads up of what to expect. When they're going to be coming out on console is my main focus. Over the last few years, we have been inundated with lots of survival games, but there still isn't enough on the console systems. We've experienced and enjoyed games like Ark, Conan Exiles, The Forest, DayZ and a few others, but what else is there still to come? So sit back, make sure you like the video and let's crack on with everything you need to know about survival on console 2019-2020. So I'm not really doing dates exactly because everything can change, but I am roughly going to give you when I think or when I've been told some of these games are going to be releasing first, and the first chance you're going to get to experience a new survival game could be Citadel's Forged with Fire. Now some people might actually say it's not a survival game, it's more like an RPG, and you'd be correct. It's got a lot of magic, it's got a lot of world exploring, it's got a lot of the usual tropes you'd find in games like The Witcher and Skyrim. However, for me it's still on that borderline with survival. I honest to God think they should maybe rename it Harry Potter Rust World. Because that's what you can do in it. You can literally go around firing spells at each other, demolishing and attacking other players' bases. It is looking and shaping up to be something a little bit different, bordering that line of survival and RPG. And that's why for me it possibly is a survival game more than RPG. There's PvE elements into it too. You can play it in single player as well, so you don't have to take part in that, and you basically set out land claims that will stop other players from demolishing your base, and these can be protected with bubbles that will stop players from aggroing on you. Of course you have to keep them bubbles going by giving it resources, much like other games like Rust, like Ark, with certain aspects like their shields. So if you're looking for multiplayer survival, Citadel Forged with Fire is your next best bit for large scale, maybe up to 32 players so far. And the way that the servers are set up, it's looking likely you'll be able to rent your own from other companies like Trado, my partners, or G-Portal or other companies. So look out for that one from big action. There are some issues with it though. It's not exactly selling off the shelves on Steam. It hasn't had much of a player base over the last 2 years. In fact, it's well below hundreds of players or so playing on a daily basis right now. I don't want to mention words like cash grab, but this is definitely one I would wait and see what the previews are like, or check out my footage. I'm going to give you honest opinions about this game all the way up to release and when it actually hits on the consoles. That console release is going to be October the 11th, and unusually it's also got a physical copy edition release as well. Being handled by Koch Media, it's looking likely you'll be able to buy it digital and on hard copy too. The team behind this are the same developers that made Slenderman. Blue Isle Studios are promising spellcrafting any item. You can enchant any weapon or wand. You can take flight on your broomsticks. You can build huge castles. Their latest trailer focusing on the customization of how you can build your home, your forts, whatever it is you want to craft, and also hopefully defend against other players. Tame creatures, you can tame other creatures, dragons, you name it, it's in there. And they've got all sorts of boss dungeons and a vast array of other magical creatures to take on. Citadel Forged with Fire, currently £34.99 UK pounds on Amazon. Check it out when it comes out on October the 11th. So maybe you're not a fan of being a wizard, Harry. What about being a pirate? Well, this is what's happening soon. Atlas is coming to Xbox One. Yes, early access on Xbox, obviously with their game preview program. PlayStation fans, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Looking likely to be full release before you get a chance to play it. Maybe a bit sooner, but who knows. The makers of Ark Survival Evolved split themselves into two teams, two studios, one of them working on Atlas. It arrived crazily in a whole whirlwind of hype, also partly help generated by me, and unfortunately that hype didn't live up to expectation. Players were just really unhappy. It was a PR disaster. Streamers paid thousands of dollars to play their game and no one could get in because of the queues and the problems facing this game that promises to be a 40,000 player MMO. At its core, Atlas is still very much a survival game created from the engine that made Ark Survival Evolved. That's basically a nice way of saying they made a mod in Ark and they decided to make it a full game. Regardless of how it launched, Atlas has received pretty much a lot of content during that time, and they've gone up and down in different directions with content trying to appease the community. Some people would say they're listening too much, others say they're not doing enough to make it different from Ark. Regardless, Atlas has definitely got some great new mechanics in it. The boat building, the choice and variety that you can do in terms of how you actually go out there and explore the world, the resources, the items that you'll be gathering and trying to harness and utilize, that's all great. They've got a big mix. What they struggle to really do is make things interesting when you're traveling though. In between island and island, there is literally minutes and minutes worth of sea travel, and there's just not enough going on. That seems to be one of the biggest criticisms of Atlas. So Atlas is coming to Xbox, hopefully very soon. Developers teased in a live stream recently showing actual Xbox One gameplay, and the big reveal of course that it's cross-play with Steam. You'll be able to play on Steam or Xbox together, the same players on the same worlds. That is huge news to be able to play with PC players. Maybe they just need the player base because the numbers on PC haven't been great. It has just gone downhill since release, with only 2,000 to 4,000 players on a daily basis. It needs a whole lot of work in its combat systems. It needs a whole lot of work with its settling, how you claim islands and how you basically fight other clans or companies. For sure, Atlas needs a lot of work. They've got a brand new lead designer. He's taking over and hopefully they're going to be going in the right direction. They're deciding to focus more on quality of life improvements and bug fixes at the moment to get things stable, I'm guessing, for the Xbox launch, before revitalising their roadmap with stages 2, 3 and 4, where they're going to be focusing on adding more things to do in between fighting it out, as well as more rewards for exploration and what you can do in terms of progression with a new skill tree coming on the horizon too. Right now it pretty much is Ark with pirates. If that sounds great, then jump straight into Atlas. If that makes your skin shudder, then maybe avoid this until at least full release. But for sure it's going to be appearing before Christmas time on the Xbox. I'm marking it around the end of October, beginning of November. I don't expect to see it jump up in crazy price from what it currently is on Steam, and that currently is around £23. So I'm expecting it to go for around £29.99 on the Xbox when it launches. Atlas has plenty of detractors with good reason, but I think this game has got the potential to go places. I've been pretty critical of it during its development, so I'm really hoping the Xbox launch is going to add a new market for this game. Recently they added a offline mode, so you can go and explore to your heart's content on your own the thousands of islands that are in the game, or their custom made DLC map Blackwood, which kind of made to give you the experience of everything that Atlas has to offer on one single map based on a few islands. So for sure, definitely lots of ways to play this game. Atlas coming, I reckon, around the end of October, beginning of November. It's not all about first person, third person viewpoints when you're trying to gather that wood. Sometimes it can be a little bit more strategic and a little bit more simulation like. Frostpunk is one of them games that delivers that. You're going to be facing a bitter cold in a post-apocalyptic world. Steampunk designs trying to keep your colonies and your people alive. Frostpunk has been available on PC a while now. It's a great, fantastic simulation building survival game. You are going to be managing your colonies, gathering resources, hopefully keeping the people alive, but also making sure that they're happy. Politics may come as a big component of this game. People need to be fed. They need to know that your leadership skills are there. This game is coming very soon, October the 11th. It's probably the only real big simulation game that I've included, but I do think it deserves it because it has got so many great survival aspects. Lots of challenges and scenarios to do outside of the main story campaign, and it's got the sort of endless scenarios where you can just keep playing and playing and playing. Around £25 or $29.99. It's also coming out as a physical copy edition a couple weeks later, so if you really want to give this a go but don't want to buy it digitally, wait until then. Otherwise, October the 11th, get your hands on Frostpunk. Oh, by the way, Xbox and PlayStation. If you're a regular watcher of my channel, you'll know all about me covering games that have had trouble and issues. Stranded Deep is definitely one of them games. Announced for Xbox and PlayStation out of the blue last year, it was meant to launch within a couple of weeks. Sadly, the publishing company behind it, Telltale Games, actually went out of business. This meant the developers Beam team had to find another publisher, but they couldn't just simply do that, they had to actually try and get their rights back from Telltale. In fact, they waited until April when Telltale's assets were sold off at an auction, and luckily they managed to secure their console rights back. This has meant that Stranded Deep is still coming to Xbox and PlayStation, with developers tweeting and announcing that they have got their rights back recently and they're looking to get it out very soon. I'm predicting this is going to be coming out before November. I really think it's that close. They're going through PEGI ratings at the moment, and they're just going through the last paperwork issues to get it back on console with a small indie publisher. Scheduled to be finished on Steam at least by the end of 2015. Yes, that was 4 years ago. Stranded Deep actually went on to add a bunch more features that a lot of the player base were asking for. That's why it's taken so long. This game has been in development for nearly 6 years. And while normally that's a sign there is a game there that maybe has a bit of trouble, the reviews are mostly positive, with over 74% of people playing it on Steam saying it's a great survival game. After your plane crash somewhere, maybe in the Pacific, you have to fend for yourself against sharks and all manner of other creatures from island to island trying to get back home. They're promising story content at full release, and the Xbox and PlayStation will be up to date with how the PC is right now. They've just added co-op split screen, so if you really want to play couch survival with your family, this is one of the few games that actually offers it. They're still working currently on the multiplayer aspect, so that at least you'll be able to invite online friends and not just split screen, and I really hope that is something that makes it into the Xbox and PS4 release very soon, at least as well come into PC. That feature is still even not there on PC at the moment. Stranded Deep is a pretty solid survival game, maybe not overly spectacular at the moment, but of course it's still not finished. I don't know if it's going to scale the heights in terms of story like The Forest did, but for sure it's definitely an interesting idea, and I love the way that you can craft and then move around from island to island. And who wants to fight sharks? Me, yes sir, me. One of the cheapest survival games out there as well. It's only £11 on Steam at the moment, and when they announced the plans last year, it was retailing at $20. Expect to see some Let's Plays of this on my channel from PC, just to give you guys a heads up of what to expect when it comes out on Xbox and PS4. Like I said, I think that's going to be happening before the end of November. So I've talked about two survival games that maybe aren't exactly hits on Steam at the moment. Well, what about one of the biggest and the best survival games? Rust currently right now has the distinction of having the most players playing a survival game out of any of them. Forget Ark, forget Conan, forget DayZ, Rust beats them all and has been doing so for the last 8 or 9 months. Ever since pretty much its electricity update and a whole host more has come out, Rust has just grown in popularity. It came out of early access last year, and yes, it is coming to console. The creator, Gary, or one of them anyway, stated on Twitter only recently in reply that of course Rust would be coming. It was pretty obvious, and they're just working out the kinks. When they've got news to share, they will let players know. Some people seem to think that means we might see it on the next generation of consoles, but I definitely think with the install base, lots of developers will still be eyeing up the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. We still haven't even seen what the next generation consoles look like, and we probably won't do until next summer. So I firmly believe Rust is going to come out, and I reckon it'll end up coming out before Christmas. Just based on the talk from developers and the way that they've been gearing up their PC development even more. They're also looking for more animators, and they've got an outside studio doing the port, a reputable one at that. Double 11 have done some great work importing lots of games, even games for things like Switch. So they've got a good pedigree in turning what is a bit of a power hungry game into something that will work and run on Xbox and PlayStation. Let's face it, Ark doesn't run that great on consoles, nor does Conan, nor does DayZ, and I'll keep using them free because they are the biggest survival games currently available on console. So a little few bugs and problems aren't going to detract from me playing this game. It is on my hit list as my #1 game I want to play on console. I love the idea of Rust. I've played a bit of it on PC, but I am just a console scrub. I prefer it. So when we get more news about this, I'll be delivering it to you first, as always. Rust is very PvP focused. If you don't know, if you've never heard of it, it isn't for the PvE crowd. You're not going to be building pretty bases in this one, because likelihood is it'll get blown up relatively soon. They're adding even more features to it. They're adding more helicopters, more ways to travel, with modular cars also coming in. So Rust has still got a big future, massively being developed for PC, and is the most popular and biggest survival game on PC right now. Go and check out my previous video talking about what Gary had to say on Twitter about it coming to console if you don't believe me, and just hopefully keep your fingers crossed we'll see this before the end of the year. Another massive multiplayer online game, Space Engineers, has also been around for a number of years and it's still getting fantastic positive reviews. They just launched their brand new economy update, free content months after it came out of early access, alongside some paid DLC, but don't worry, they're not trying to fleece people. I'm talking about a few bucks just for some extra cosmetic items. I really like the way that Space Engineers have been doing their stuff. Since adding their survival component to their game just before full release, it really has turned this game into something a little bit more substance rather than just being a building simulation game. If you love in-depth stuff going on with crafting your spaceships, your bases, you're gonna love Space Engineers. It is not for the faint of heart. This really is one of them games you're gonna have to sink hundreds and hundreds of hours into to get the most out of it. But with its survival content there, story and challenges, scenarios, I think it's fleshed itself out really well since leaving early access. Coming to Xbox first, hopefully PlayStation one day. The devs have been tweeting pictures of the game running and have been keeping that community up to date with why there's been some delays. It was hopefully meant to have come out a bit earlier on this year. So I'm looking at Space Engineers coming out before Christmas time, definitely on the Xbox. It may still be in game preview though, looking likely they want to just adjust and change and see how things are running up. But this is looking like a special one if you like space and you love real in-depth simulation. You can build and craft all sorts of vehicles, constructions, bases. It's got a hell of a lot in it, and it's going to maybe struggle a little bit with the controller and shortcuts, but I think they've got it in them to make it work for console. Around 15-16 quid on Steam at the moment. You can expect that to be about 25 or 30 pounds once it comes out on Xbox. So, single player content, story, scenario, survival and multiplayer where you can actually trade with other players, set up an economy to actually sell your items and resources. Space Engineers offers something very different that a lot of the other survival games just haven't got or managed to ever do. I'm really looking forward to this one coming to console. Sticking with the theme of space, PlayStation 4 fans will finally be able to play Astroneer very soon. Just announced as coming out on November the 15th. It's been available on Xbox and PC for a while now, but it is finally coming to PlayStation. This creative sandbox survival game, yes survival, because you need oxygen, you need resources, and you're trying to get to your friends on other planets, really puts an emphasis on exploration and gathering. It's one of them chill games, but it's actually surprisingly quite difficult at times. This one is available on the Xbox Games Pass if you didn't know, so if you haven't tried it, go and try it out. It's a great little game. I absolutely love playing this when I just want to chill. Can't wait to see this on a PlayStation 4. I reckon around £25, maybe a little bit more. That's about how much it is on the Xbox at the moment, £23.74. It's got co-op, it's got single player, it's got challenges, it's got just normal survival. You can do all sorts of things with this game, so go and give it a shot if you've got the Xbox Games Pass, or hopefully we'll see you playing it on November the 15th, 2019. Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey has already been doing the business on the Epic Games Store, and it is coming to the PlayStation this December time. Ape, no, kill ape, but you sure as hell can kill a lot of other creatures as they hunt you down, trying to lead your band, your clan of fellow apes to survival, making yourself go through evolution upon evolution, trying to get the perfect monkey. This game is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. A bit grindy, does kind of get a bit repetitive very quickly, but for sure a really unique survival game. So looking forward to this appearing on console, where I'm going to give you the rundown once again. Expect it to be $32.99, the exact same price as it is on the Epic Games Store, and it will be coming to Steam probably after a year of exclusivity. Strictly a single player experience with no plans for co-op. You can expect this on the PlayStation, as I said, in December. No plans yet for Xbox, but I figure that's just part of the exclusivity deal. You can probably expect to see this appear after a year or so on the Xbox. Green Hell is available right now out of Early Access 1.0 release on Steam. This game tasks you with surviving in the Amazon forest. You're in search of your missing wife. Yes, Green Hell has got a story with cutscenes and beats to follow. You'll be fighting against all sorts of wildlife, not only that but diseases too. Green Hell was one of the toughest survival games I've ever played. I'm currently doing a Let's Play on it right now, so go and check it out if you want more information. And yes, it has been announced as coming to console. When they first released this game last year, they spoke about it coming to Xbox and PlayStation, and it's only in April this year they announced it's coming to Nintendo Switch with a special trailer. They also gave press and a lot of associated people the loose, roughly release date of the last quarter of 2019. So you can expect this game to appear on Nintendo Switch between now and January, and hopefully that also means it's going to be coming to the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. If you like games like The Forest on the PlayStation 4 or Subnautica, I think you really will get on with Green Hell. Creepy Jar, the developers' roadmap consists of also adding co-op multiplayer for this game as well, so that's a big component that's going to be there for console too. But if you like a hard, challenging experience, then this is absolutely one of them survival games you need to play. £20 on Steam right now, expect that to be around 30 to 34 when it releases on console. Survival games come in many forms, the big multiplayers, the lone survival, and sometimes they're a little bit more shooter or horror based. Pray for the Gods is a survival game, but it's definitely got more about the big monster aspect in it too. It is very directly inspired by Shadow of the Colossus. You will be faced with a harsh environment filled with cold and ice, where you have to get food and resources to make better weapons, to equip yourself, to take on giant beasts. Sounds very much like Shadow Colossus, but like I said, it's got them survival elements with it. This game's been out on Steam a while and it's now gaining fantastic reviews. Over 80% of the people saying it's a great game. They've said it's come to Xbox and the PlayStation, and by the time they've done that, they're working on more content and updates. They've also been able to add extra bosses as well. So this game is shaping up to be a really good alternative if you don't necessarily want to play a multiplayer game and you don't want to necessarily just be surviving for the sake of it. I think it was the right decision to go down early access route, and to be fair, they only did that so they can work on more content and get the console versions polished up, and it's probably paying off. Adding more bosses, adding more content, and just refining a few little bugs and issues that I found while playing it is a great idea. So hopefully we're going to get a really good finished product when it does come to Xbox and PlayStation. When is that going to be? I'm predicting hopefully before Christmas time. They're ramping up the news. They've been at PAX West and some of the shows talking about some of the content that's coming, and it's looking likely that that final content, the final bosses being added, will form the complete package for Xbox and PlayStation 2. £23.79 on Steam. You can expect to see that retailing about £30 or £35 when it comes out on Xbox and PlayStation. Keep this one on your radar if you like survival games with a little bit of story and a little bit more focus on objectives and quests rather than just surviving against the wilderness. This one is going to be a single player game, no multiplayer as of yet or anything being revealed. It's strictly single player, but I don't think that matters as much. It's definitely one of them games where the story, the beats to it really lend itself to that experience just on your own. I can't wait to play this again. Go and check out my playlist when I played it earlier on this year. I found it quite difficult, challenging, and it had lots of components that you come to expect from survival games. So for sure, keep this on your radar. Pray for the Gods, coming out, I'm hoping, sometime before Christmas time 2019. Journey to the Savage Planet is more of a fun, maybe a little bit more story, maybe not even really survival, but I absolutely love the look of this game, and I think it's got some survival elements to it. For sure, exploration is a big part of this game. It's not going to be one of them that you sink thousands of hours in, but it's definitely a bit out there in terms of the alien life, encounters you're going to be having, and the sort of old school, maybe a little bit retro platforming you're going to be doing. You are in an open world though. It isn't just some isometric 2D game with a fancy trailer. You are crash landed on the Savage Planet and you have to basically explore and find your way through lots of puzzles, encountering creatures, and using the environment and your equipment to survive. Lots of humour, lots of colour. I'm looking forward to this one. It's coming out in January on the Epic Games Store and on the Xbox and PlayStation systems too. Expect to see a full playthrough of this one. I can't wait to get a bit of space humour in my survival diet. Currently $23.99 on the Epic Games Store. You can expect to see it maybe go up a little bit to $29.99 UK sterling pounds. Journey to the Savage Planet coming January 2020. I may not have mentioned too many AAA games because so few of them are still really working on big survival games. But Dying Light 2 is definitely, I think, one of them crossovers. Yes, it's open world, yes, it's a story and maybe RPG elements thrown in too, but I still think the way that you can customize, build up your weapons and armor sets, run around a huge open world exploring different parts of the city, Dying Light definitely for me is a survival game. And of course, it's got zombies. Pretty much every game with zombies is a survival game. Prove me wrong. No, I'm joking. But I'm really looking forward to this one. I saw the demo recently. I gave you my opinion, reacted to it, and it was looking fantastic. And it put it back on my radar because I kind of forgotten about Dying Light. So we're seeing this release next year. The only problem is it's releasing more or less exactly the same time as Cyberpunk. So we'll have to see how it fares. But it's shaping up to look like something really special. If you're a big fan of zombies, a big fan of decapitations with blades you've created, Dying Light 2 is going to have you covered. You can expect the usual sort of AAA price. I am excited for this one. Supposedly going to be offering single player and the co-op experience that the first one had. Dying Light is really shaping up to be something crazy and I can't wait. They also supported the first game loads with pre-release content, a lot of it being free as well. So expect good things to come from Techland. The cold features prominently in a lot of these games. I guess that's just one of the biggest components of survival. Subnautica ended up being a massive hit on PC and hugely popular on PlayStation and Xbox. The sequel, Below Zero, has been in early access for nearly a year now and it's been very successful. The devs are taking a bit of a step back though, or at least in terms of keeping people what's going on. They've decided to release content but maybe not be so public about what they're pumping up there, as it was starting to lead to stress and anxiety for a lot of the people working on the game. So now that means the console version may be a little bit more further behind than we first thought. I was expecting this to come out in the next few months, but it's looking likely we'll see this approach maybe game preview early next year, 2020. It's maybe not breaking the ice, do you get it? Breaking the ice in terms of going out there with its sequel, more refining and adding on top of what the first one did. A lot of people actually question why it wasn't just a simple DLC. But whatever the weather, these guys seem committed to getting this game out on console, stating that they are going to be bringing it to the Xbox and hopefully the PlayStation at some point too. The Forest is actually one of my favourite survival games. I listed it pretty high. Go and check out my top 15 survival games video if you want to see where it really placed. I think this game is fantastic. PC for a while now. It's been on PS4 for nearly a year. And yes, it is coming to Xbox. While they haven't definitely given a date or said it's definitely coming, the developers have spoke a lot with interviewers and press association people over the last 6 to 9 months, stating they want to see their game on as many consoles as possible, as many platforms as possible. So I'm fully expecting The Forest to come to Xbox after its exclusivity with the PlayStation has ended. It was a major hit on my channel, so expect to see me play this once again when it does eventually hit Xbox. And that is pretty much it for the games you need to know about survival coming to Xbox and PlayStation for the next 6 months or so. Of course, there's going to be many more. I may have even missed a couple I really shouldn't have, and apologies for that one. I'm going to be doing a video soon talking about even more survival games coming. Now, this one has got a nice shiny PS4 title on it, and I'm still debating whether or not it's going to be a full survival game. But Ran Lost Colonies or Ran Lost Islands is a special Japanese game that's actually more of a battle royale survival game. Set in the 17th, 16th century, you're going to be battling against other players with very much more traditional means of combat, running around though quite big environments. It looks fantastic. I really hope they change course in this and maybe add it as a more of a survival game rather than necessarily just a straight up battle royale. But that's what it's kind of turning out to be at the moment. Also, shout outs for The Long Dark. Finally, we might actually see the rest of the DLC for that game appear eventually on Xbox and PlayStation. It's been over a year since the last version, and there's so much more to come. I'm going to be highlighting all the new survival games coming to PC. No confirmations on any of them coming to Xbox or PlayStation, but it's still good to take a look and see what's on the horizon, possibly for the next generation of consoles. So, if you like this video, you found it informative, make sure you like, come and check out all my other survival games coverage. I pretty much cover everything that comes, and come and join my Discord if you want to talk more. I am JPG. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you ratbags later.